Now we are at the point of the age-old question, is it worth it? All right, today we are going over the Camco 39080 black tank flush adapter. As you can see here, it has the clear section so that you can see when your black tank and gray tanks are done finishing, as well as the adapter for a hose with a valve so that you can spray water into your black tank to keep it clean. It is the 3-inch version and has about a 45-degree to be able to point it anywhere you want. It actually rotates here at the top, so you don't have to worry about it going just straight down. I've had it in multiple directions depending on where the waste needs to go to. This is actually my third attempt to get this video done. Not today. There was a couple other dump stations that the water was turned off, and so I wasn't even able to utilize this device because where this sprayer is at, I was a little bit worried that the water might come out of it, and you might get a chance in this one. I'm hoping you get a chance in this one to see why I have mixed feelings about this particular device. Now, the sprayer works great, but there's something that happens with that little sprayer part here that I'll get you in to be able to see exactly what that does. Now, as far as the actual dumping process right here, because we have the clear elbow, and I'm not sure how YouTube might view waste coming through here, I'm just going to dump this first, get everything cleared out so that we have clear water coming through here for an actual demonstration portion of it. So let's jump ahead to that. Now I've got the water on just barely so that you can see the functionality with that valve open, that it is spraying a little bit of water in there. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on all the way. This is about cycle 7 or 8 of turning the water on full blast and then turning it off. As you can see here, it is doing a really good spray up into the tank. It is forcing all of the water to stay up in the tank as much as possible as it's filling it up. And then there, as it hits the maximum of what it can keep up in the tank for clearing it out, it just fills it up. So I turn the water down a little bit and let that flush out whatever's in the tank. This being cycle roughly 8 of this turning it on full blast and then turning it off. What's really surprising to me is how effective this is at. Even at cycles 5, 6, or 7, I would actually see some waste still coming out. So it would be clear water coming out of there, and then all of a sudden I'd see a chunk of waste come out and then clear water again. So I know that the sprayer is doing something at keeping this tank clean, or at least getting it clean. All right, and now that we're here at the end of this cycle, I want to point out to you the one major flaw that I have had with this adapter. And it is, when you go to turn this valve off, it doesn't do a thing. It continues to just keep spraying right through that valve, which means if you did not have water pressure in this hose, when this opens up, there's a very good chance that that waste is going to seep its way back in here through your hose. Now let's turn the water back on full blast, and you'll see there's a little bit of resistance there, but it's not going to do you much good. Now I've been at waste stations where their water valve is either on or off. So if you are trying to do a few different cycles where you're spraying that water up and take a break, let it dump out, and then come back to it basically let it rinse and repeat over and over again like that, you'd have to keep going back to the handle to turn it on and off, and And you wouldn't be able to use this valve here, which is really a convenience thing. And my biggest problem with it is just the waste that could come back into this hose here. Now, at the end of these rinse and repeat cycles, a personal preference of mine is to let that spray in for a minute till I can see that the water that is coming out is the same amount that's going back in. And at that point, I know that there's some water up in the tube and potentially up in the tank a little bit. So I will close this valve so that it's just spraying right in here into the assembly. And at that point, I'll turn the water off. That does a couple things for me. One, that makes sure that I've got a clean lower section here, as well as making sure that any water that's coming through the hose here is also going to be clean water, getting that rinsed out and not as stinky. At this point, I've jumped under the trailer. I apologize for the stabilizer jack being in the way of the shot a little bit, but you can see the orange of the Camco 39080. And I have a straight shot to a 90-degree elbow into my black tank. That plays a huge part of the effectiveness of this particular sprayer that's built into there. Because when that sprays, it goes straight up, hits a 90, and a lot of that water is getting bounced off that 90 into the black tank and doing a good job at breaking loose anything that may be in there. Your assembly may be different. You may come straight into a 90 to a 45 and then another 90, etc. So you may want to look at potential different options if you do not have a straight shot to your black tank like I do. Now we are at the point of the age-old question, is it worth it? Well, for my particular setup, where I have that straight shot up into the tank, sure, it was a decent price and it does its job for being able to spray up in there and whatnot. The functionality, the built-in rubber part of here that I've actually had to get a screwdriver in, fix, and then sure, yeah, it'll hold pressure, no problem, until the first time I use it, and then it just sprays open all the time. So as far as it being worth it, yeah, I'd probably pick it up again because it was decent price. I think it was at Walmart that I picked it up, and it's great for being able to have that combo of seeing when the tank is done emptying, as well as the sprayer portion of it. Being able to see that even 4 or 5 cycles in, I was still having some waste chunks out of there, and I knew that I should probably put in another 4 or 5 cycles, was extremely valuable for me for making sure that I have a cleaner tank and everything's as it's supposed to be. So yeah, I'd pick one of these up again. If there was a different brand that I knew didn't do that, I'd probably spend the extra little bit of money to get one of those. Go ahead and comment down below if you have one of these and if you've run into the same problem as me with one of these. If you have maybe a little bit of a better brand of one, let me know in the comments below so that I can go pick one up and check that out. I would love to have one that didn't have that particular issue, but since I have this one, I'll keep on using it. Make sure to check out some of our other videos as well for some of the fun stuff that we have going on all the time. We'll see you on another adventure.